A very good morning, Gwanelo Muhle. It is the fourth day of the week, the second day of the month, and what is going to be the first hour of our 2-hour program. Let's start by giving you a highlight of our weather focus for the day. Temperatures expected to start from 12 degrees Celsius and rise up to 21 degrees Celsius in what will be a mostly cloudy day. Our program today is an exciting one. Eswatini Cybersecurity Awareness Month has been officially launched by the Eswatini Communications Commission under the theme Divikele Be Cyber Smart, which seeks to encourage Amaswati to adopt secure online behavior. Now, this campaign also aims to build capabilities to prevent cyber threats and promote the reporting of cyber incidents. The Ministry of ICT has presented an overview of the National Cybersecurity Strategy, which we want to unpack as we look into what the launch of Cybersecurity Month will be seeing into undertaking for the duration of the month of November. Now, that's a discussion that we will further develop on the first hour of our program after the news. On our second hour, we speak to Eswatini Action Group Against Abuse Programs Director Kusile Dlamini, as well as Swallows Football Pro Knowledge Ngwenya, on the escalating issue of femicide, intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, and the importance of male involvement in successfully addressing these challenges. Why is this still harboring our society in a frightening pace as well? We'll discuss that and have them allude to possible interventions and support. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Stay with us as we have both our guests for both interviews. But for now, let's take it leading headlines. Emma Pepanzabeni Elive. First up, let's look at our Times of Eswatini leading headlines this Thursday morning. First one is exodus of doctors at RFM Hospital, which is a story that speaks to doctors, other aggrieved staff members that have resigned after on-call allowances have been cut. Also, patients stand to suffer as hospital scales down on services. On another one, smooth starts as 27,000 seat EPC exams. We see pupils at MDS writing their second paper of the English paper 1 yesterday afternoon during the start of the Eswatini primary certificate examinations. So again, a total of 27,000 learners are expected to sit the EPC exams Lonyaga. On another one, on a story that's exciting a lot of Emaswati, relief as fuel prices drop by up to 2 emalangeni. On another one, 7 teachers are absent for 7 days. They claim they attended Sibaya. Pardon me. 5 women shooting. Survivor is recovering well. Is the last story to make the leading headlines for Times of Eswatini. Temidlalo. Despite firing blanks again in the MTN League, Madlenya is back on top. Unbeaten, Minos hold Swallows to goalless draw to reclaim lead in 100,000 Emalangeni carrot race. On another one, no VAR for November World Cup qualifiers. There will be no VAR for the upcoming 2026 World Cup qualifiers this month. Kanzke lenye indzaba lehamba embili ikhulumisa indzaba ye-Spurs, which is Cape Town Spurs, which have broken DStv duck against Orlando Pirates after winning 2-1 against Orlando Pirates. Sekugcina story sikhulumisa indzaba ye-Build It, 10,000 emalangeni bursary for under 13s bet. Those are the leading headlines in terms of Eswatini. Siqhubekela embili sibuke Eswatini Observer. Eswatini Observer, 5th woman awake and speaking. Anda-ke indzaba besolo nje ilandzelelwa ya Deputy Sheriff Dubule labo-ke labasihlanu. Shongwe family relieved Thuli Mkhwanazi has regained consciousness after being shot in the chest as family looks for answers. On another one, condolences pour in for Nombi Mpilo, who sadly passed away just a day ago. That hit social media and everyone really. Lo venture plunga kulu ngakuthi ashiye emhlabeni noMpilo. On another one, unfreeze all our accounts, kusho Likhwane. Kanti-ke yekugcina indzaba lehamba embili ikhulumisa a major drop in fuel price. Kutemidlalo ku-Eswatini observer Madlenya frustrate Swallows as they extend unbeaten run after going for a goalless draw against Imbabane Swallows at Langen Laitolo. Cape Town Spurs stun Orlando Pirates. Cape Town Spurs finally registered their first win over the DStv Premiership season with a 2-1 victory over Orlando Pirates. On another one, Bombela is now home away from home, Kushogwake. Exciting double header at Mavuso. Fans are in for a football treat as there will be an exciting double header at Mavuso Sports Center on Sunday. Those are the leading headlines. Setaubuka Eswatini Daily News, Lomutla Ekseni. Singena ku Eswatini Daily News nyalo sifuna kubuka unfreeze all our bank accounts, kusho Likhwane. After winning the case against FSRA, Likhwane Beneficiary Fund makes 3 demands. Huge sigh of relief for motorists as fuel decreases on Friday. Kanzike yekugcina lihamba embili is the most in-demand skills in Eswatini. Licwaningo lendiwe ngu-Ishek. Sifuna kubuka temidlalo ku Eswatini Daily News. Madlenya is back on top. And an unfashionable Sipofaneni-based outfit hold Mbabane Swallows to a goalless draw to reclaim top spot in the MTN League Lock standings and take their unbeaten run to 6 matches. As again, Bull Birds are to co-host at Mavuso on the upcoming games. On the international front, 8 Ballon d'Ors has a nice ring to it for Lionel Messi. Ngetoke tindzaba letigijima embili kumaphephandzaba elive lomhla ekuseni sibahlo letimakethe sibuye sibuke tindzaba talapha ekhaya lebethamba embili esukwini layitolo.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letentiya ngaleso sikhatsi tindzaba letide emagama laqosheme letitsembekile letitsintsa tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni
kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo netemhlaba wonke jikelele siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhatsi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulomsakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letichamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV.
Mizuzu lemfica kubumbene insimbi yesithupha ngesithokotele nadidi indzaba talapha ekhaya. Indlovukazi Mhlekazi seyifikile even naseNingizimu Afrika. Kanti-ke indlovu yemhlaba yemukelwe ngenfokomalo ngesikhathi icala luhambo lwayo kulo live labomakhelwane lelinebudlelwane lobuhle kakhulu nelive leSwatini.
Indlovukazi Mhlekazi beneluhambo loluhle efika khona eNingizimu Afrika ngalwesibili kusihlwa. Live leNingizimu Afrika lemukele indlovu yemhlaba ngetandla letivulekile naletinenfokomalo. Kanti luhambo lwayo indlovu yemhlaba lutawuba nesandla lesibandi ekuthuthukiseni buhlobo lobuhle lusebuhlanganise live leSwatini nalo live leNingizimu Afrika iminyaka lesabalele. Ebandleni lelisingathe indlovu yemhlaba kunebantu abenkosi lekungumfana enkosi Mbuyisa nemfana enkosi loMajuba nababeshifu Gqokoma. Lobika kwethu Indzabeni ngisandile Makhanya eJozi eNingizimu Afrika.
Sive siyakutfokotela kwehla kwentengo yepetrol kanti ke diesel nayo ehlile na paraffin ngekusho kwembiko lokhishwe litiko letemcebo waphansi nemandla lentengo lensha itawucala kusebenta ngolwesihlanu mhla 13 kulesetulo.
Litiko letemcebo waphansi nemandla selimemetele ukuthi intengo ya paraffin, petrol kanye na diesel itawehla nakudzabuka kusa ngalesihlanu mhla 13 kulesetulo. Kanti-ke intengo ya petrol itawehla ngemalangeni lamabili ilitha bese kuthi diesel na paraffin ehleke ngelangeni lilinye ilitha. Kanti-ke sive siyatithokotela letindzaba letimemetelwa ngilo litiko letemcebo waphansi nemandla.
Na ungazama at least wehle noma ngabo 3 rand to 4 rand man. Ube less than 20 rand le liter for petrol. Can be good. Kona nje vele sibuka ukuthi at least uma ubuyelele 2015 lapho kona bonga 10 rand kona. Nalo mnotho sidaba singakhula because inyalo yonke imali etholako kufanele ispende kuphe emotweni. So kuyasilimata kakhulu. Asathi uma uhulumende angasibukela na subsidize phela yabo. Because inyalo nje kukhupha the more akhupha fuel bese kukhupha nemabhasi. Nakhupha nemabhasi abantu abasakhona ukuthi uthenga la titolo because sekudulile.
Lokho lokuncane nje lokwendekile kutasita thina. Ngoba vele ayisesidonsa ama sesebenzela lo petrol vele nyaka.
Yona ngaphindi ungathuthi uyehla kancane ngasidakele kakhulu.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ipetrol akathinzi kuphela nje abantu labatisebenzisela imoto ngase for domestic use. Sikhumbule ukuthi ngiyena lo wethatha imoto lethambisa umnotho fana nesinetilimo lesitilima emakhaya nawo konke lesikhiqitayo imikhiqito yethu ihamba ngayo petrol. So siyethemba ukuthi mhlawumbe lokuncane lesehliselwe ngako utawuletha inzima lenze seleni umnotho nawo usukuma.
Litiko lithi lokubangela ukuthi lentengo ya oil na diesel na paraffin yehle kwenyuka kwemkhiqito wa oil etimakethe takamhlaba. Lokubangela ukuthi yehle nayo intengo ya oil khona etimakethe takamhlaba. Etizabente Eswatini TV ngilingithini Gule nginasikhumbuzo Dlamini nambendulo Gumbi silapha edolobheni eMbabane.
Ngikubuka ukuthi siningi sive lesihamba ngetinyawo kumathapha inkampani lekhicita tinatfo Eswatini beverages sayinikelele emasipala welidolobha la kumathapha ngetindvo tekuvikela abantu labahamba ngetinyawo kusuka ePolice Academy kuya emathangeni. Kanti lisekela lamabhalane lomkhulu etiko letekutfutfukiswa kwemadolobha amakhosi simelane uthi bayathembisa ukuthi setitawuncipha tingoti kuleli dolobha.
Umcondzisi we-Eswatini Beverages uthi banikele imali elinganiselwa ku-380,000 emalangeni lokuyimali eside kufaka timfo tekuvikela sive lesihamba ngetinyawo kulomgwaco losuka ePolice Academy kuya emathangeni longu-1.7 kilometers.
Last year we did a similar investment, but this year the difference is versus last year we had a stretch of about 800 kilometers. This year we're having a stretch of 1.7 kilometers in the Matapa area. So we are super excited to partner with the municipality, the council.
Lisekela lamabhalane lomkhulu etiko letetindlu makhosi simelane lithi lokho kusho kuthuthuka kwelidolobha la kuMathapha.
Lokhu lokwendekile lamhlala kutawufaka sandla lesikhulu ekuphephiseni labahamba ngetinyawo ikakhulu kuMathapha. Mathapha lidolobha lelikhulu li-industrial, lidolobha lelinebahlali, lidolobha futhi labaningi labasebenza khona labahamba kulomgwaco.
Umphathi waleli dolobha uthi balidzinga lolusito.
Khulu kakhulu sidingo saloko njengoba kunebantu lebaku in the region of 40,000 lebasebenza la kuMathapha bese kuthi naselishonile kusala lebala kubo 10,000. So uyabona ke labanye le difference kuthi vele bantu lebahamba ngetinyawo baye emakhaya.
Edindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika nelisiwendla ngamandla nginagiyani Msibi kuMathapha.
Kutawubita tikitsi letilishumi nesiphohlongo temalangeni 18 million kuba sigaba sesibili seluhlelo lwekucwaninga kutsi umcebo waphansi ukhona unganani ukuphi futhi lelatiwa ngele multidisciplinary geoscience mapping project lokhu kuvetwe ngumphathi oluhlangothi lwekucwaninga umcebo waphansi etiko letemcebo waphansi nemandla Dr. Nowanhleko.
Sigaba sekucala saloluhlelo lokucwaninga ukuthi imicebo yelive ikuphi futhi inganani i-multidisciplinary geoscience mapping project sabita live imali lengetulu kwetigidzi letilishumi nesikhombisa temalangeni 17 million lapho kwatfolakala khona ligolide ensingizini kwatfolakala insimbi engwenya nakankonjwa nelidayimane kadvokolwako kulokunye. Umphathi welihlangothi lokucwaninga itiko letemcebo waphansi nemandla Dr. Nowanhleko uthi sigaba sesibili saloluhlelo sitawucala kule nyanga.
Bona bebacele 32 million, uhulumende besina 18 million. So kwafuneka sikhulumisane kwasale process ngoba sekuba lichike koJetinda Botse isinikile imvumo as of last week Friday uconductor research ngetewadi siyobonana kodwa uyethemba ukuthi kunematch kuqualify bekhona sinematch lathi simanje siyathemba singakhona kwenta kube khona kungabi kunenge ngenta kubede kodwa sifuna sathi sivele kude noma kukhona so angeke ngisho ukuthi sibuke ini kukhwakwaze kubuka nje ngidawubekisa nje lapha ngasekhubutha kune lithium bayisensa kulamalanga sithi ngema future minerals basensa kulamalanga kwakhe ama battery imoto abogesi.
Lo hlelo kubheke ukuthi luthathe inyanga letisihlanu lwephethe ngenyanga yamabasa eminyakeni lotako. Edinzabente yeSwatini TV kubika samkeliswe khoza ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini eMbabane.
Inhlangano lengamele tekuchumana kuleli Eswatini Communications Commission sayisayine isivumelwano nenhlangano yakamhlaba United Nations Development Program kanye nenhlangano yabosomabhizinisi labancane iSEDCO kuthuthukisa tebuchwephesha kuleli. Umphathi waka-Escom umvila wempi Dlamini uthi lesivumelwano sitawuphinza sicinisekise ukuthi tonke inhlangothi tesive tiyafinyelela kutekuchumana netebuchwephesha.
Umphathi waleli bandla lelengamele tekuchumana kuleli uthi kungumgomo walo kwakha budlelwane netinhlangothi letahlukene kuthuthukisa kufinyelela kwesive kutebuchwephesha.
Silandzela ukukhulumisana singona lama partners la anamuhla ubuka lokuthi ingabe singawabambisa njani eMaswati live nje lonke ikakhulu etindzabeni digital inclusion.
Lobuke emahhovisi enhlangano yakamhlaba United Nations Development Program kuleli Rosa Sebatindira uthi lesivumelwano sitawusita nahulumende wakuleli ukuthi akhona ekufeza umgomo wakamhlaba wekuthi emave kufanele aqinisekise ukuthi wonke umuntu uyafinyelela futhi atisebenzise tekuchumana netebuchwephesha. Umphathi wenhlangano yakaSEDCO Khethiwe Mhlanga uchaza ngenzima labatayidlala kulesivumelwano.
Sakhele ICT hub ibe business center shokuthi one stop shop ngesikwakhona and then lapho ke bantfu labasha nabo make ngoba nabo siye sithi nabo ngilabo labadzinga lusito nalabo labaphila nema disabilities nabo bataba naleli thuba lokuthi bete kulama ICT hubs.
Lesivumelwano sihlangabetana netinqumo telibhange lemhlaba lapho embikweni walo weminyaka wanga 2022 livete ukuthi live leSwatini kusafanele lithuthukise tinhlelo tekuthi sive sifinyelele kutebuchwephesha kanye netekuchumana. Edinzabente Eswatini TV kubika Nelisiwe Ndlangamandla eMbabane.
Umphathi wemsakato wetithombe Eswatini Television Authority Mlamuli Dlamini uthi emave livekati le-Afrika adzinga kubambisana athuthukisa tinhlelo leticondzene ngco nekuteka ke tindzaba letinhle talamave. Dlamini bekakhuluma ngesikhatsi yavalelisa libandla lelichamuka emsakatweni wetithombe welive leNamibia lebelivakashele lo msakato.
Leli bandla lifike lapha evening ngemsombuluko kutoshiyelana ligwayi nemsakato wetithombe yeSwatini Television Authority etinhlangothini letifaka ekhatsi tetimali tekumaketha netekusakata kuletinye tinhlangothi. Akhuluma ngesikhatsi avalelisa leli bandla umphathi walo msakato Mlamuli Dlamini ukhulume ngekubambisana kwemave livekati le-Afrika ekukhiciteni tinhlelo letisezingeni lelisetulu letawukhombisa ngalokusobala tindzaba letinhle telivekati le-Afrika.
Africans need to solve African problems. Africans need to come together, right, to tell African stories and not wait for someone else to tell African stories, which is, when you pause and think about it, it's what's been happening for the longest time, right? But we need to tell our stories and do it in a high quality and great excellence manner. And the way we do that, or the way we get there, is through what's happening right here.
Lohola lelibandla liqhamuka eNamibia Joseph Antonio uthi kuningi labakufunzile kulomsakato.
We hope that our engagement will not end here. We will have more of this type of engagement. And we are also inviting your staff member to come to NBC, see the infrastructure, see the people, learn the new culture from that side.
Lemisakato lemibili ephethe lomhlangano ngekutibophelela ukuthi itawusebentela kufeza ligoli lenhlangano emsakato wesifundza sakaSADC, iSouthern African Broadcasting Association SABA, yekukhicita tinhlelo letisezingeni lelisetulu. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV, kubika Samkelisiwe Khoza naSikhumbuzo Dlamini eMbabane.
Libhange lengadi libuthe emaphayindi engadi layinkulungwane nemashumi lasithupha nesithupha 1066 ngaphansi kwemkhankaso wekubutha ingadi esifundeni sakaHhohho kanye naselibonjeni. Ngazike lobuke kuphepha kwengadi kuleli bhange esizwe eShabangu. Ukhutsate eMaswati ukuthi achubeke nekunikela ngengadi njengoba lena lebuthiwe itawube seyiphelile nakucala inyanga yeNgongoni.
Kulandzela sikhebesi lesibe khona ebhange lengadi ngenxa yemkhuhlane COVID-19, libhange lengadi National Blood Transfusion Service emavikini lamabili lendlulile licale umkhankaso wekubutha ingadi etifundzeni letimbili telive etikolweni emadolobheni nasemasonfeni. Lobuke kuphepha kwengadi kuleli bhange esizwe eShabangu uthi bebatibekele ukuthi batawubutha emaphayindi engadi latinkhulungwane letimbili kulomkhankaso.
Elubombo siphumile sine target ya 1000 ema-units sawathola emadonala ngo-892 ngiwo-ke kuye kube kucwaningwe ukhanze ukuthi tingadi lesitithola ukuthi 672 tikola lesiyeke tibe ngu-10 sakhona neke emasonfeni lamabili sakhona futhi neke emadolobheni lapho khona i-public yonke sikhona ukuthi sitfunge tingadi kwemhlabatsala eNorthern Hhohho nakhona sile satargeta 1000 sakhona kuthola emadonala angu-526 lokwendeka ukuthi kiwo sathola tingadi letithi 392 konke singasho nje ukuthi empeleni lo mkhankaso bothi sifuna 2000 ma-units sakhona ukuthi sivaka sithole emadonala athi 1418 lokwendeka ukuthi sikhole ingadi lethi 1066 ingadi iyinye nasiyikweleka iye ilast emalanga lang-42 lokwenda ukuthi nabe siyikweleke enyalo utakhanza ukuthi siyiphela la kubo emaviki ecala aDisemba lokusho ukuthi sive singasikhuthata ukuthi sibuye ngemandla sikweleke sisilethele ingadi loyo nje adinikela adonate ukuze ukuthi le ngadi ikhona ukuthi ilast iyele ngoJanuary.
Leli bhange lithi lokungenani kudzingeka emaphayindi engadi langemakhulu lamabili kwenetisa kahle tonke tibhedlela telive. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelisiwe Khoza naSikhumbuzo Dlamini sisebhange lengadi eMbabane.
Libandla lelibuke imfundo lephakeme iEswatini Higher Education Council ihlanganise tinhlangothi letahlukene kufaka ekhatsi tinkampani kukhulumisa indzaba yekwekutsi emanyuvesi nemakolishi asakhicita lokusedzingekile invele emakethe njengoba bafundzi baphothula etifundweni letingasahambelani nalokudzingwa imakethe. Ngazike lo mhlangano bewungenelwe ngulebe bamelele tinkampani letinengi babuka kutsi lusito luni lele bangalinika abantu labasha lesebaphothulile.
Yekuthi labo lesebacedza etindzaweni temfundo lephakeme abasayitholi imisebenzi njengoba bekwendeka kadzeni. Sizathu ke lesivelako ukuthi lokhu labaphuma bakuphethe akusahambelani naloku lokudzingeka lenge phandle etindzaweni temsebenzi. Sibuka ke lapha kwekuthi ingalungiseka kanjani lendzaba. Kwekuqala nje lokumcoka ukuthi laba bosomabhizinisi nebetinkampani kufuna ukuthi banikwe lithuba nesikhala sekuthi bahlale phasi bakhulumisane naletindzawo temfundo lephakeme.
Groups of 2 to 5 students have to pick a topic that they work on over a minimum of 4 weeks. That again leads to a research paper or a research report at the end of this. And then we have, in addition to that, outdoor education. We are an international school. We recognize the importance of place in our curriculum, like the impact of sustainability by climate change is very important in Eswatini. So we have a robust outdoor education program that all of our students also get a chance to participate in some way or another.
Any student
that is graduating from any institution should be able to have basic skills. How do you conduct yourself in an interview? How do you dress up? How do you answer questions, etc.? I have never seen it happening. I have never. So these are the things that you need to consider as you are running the different courses in the different institutions, that on the last year, prepare the student for the outside world.
Umcondzisi weluhlangothi lwesimo selitulu Dudu Nhlengethwa uthi sive asicaphelisise njalo kungabe kuthiwe kutaba netimvula letihambisana nekuvuma kute-ke sigweme kulinyalelwa yimpahla ngoba abakhona emathuba esangcotho. Nhlengethwa uthi itimvula leti singenisa ehlobo tibonakala titinengi ngako-ke sive asihlale silalele noma-ke silalele kuto tonke tangomade telitulu ngesimo leselitulu.
Umcondzisi welihlangothi lwetangoma telitulu Dudu Nhlengethwa uthi tangoma telitulu tiyaye tikhiphe isimo selitulu njalo njalo, ngakho-ke sive asitiphephise singatikhanzi silinyalelwe yimpahla ngoba nanoma libonakele litulu kusekunengi lokungenteka.
Kuta kuthi njalo uma ngabe simo sethu selitulu sikhulume ngendzaba yokuthi kungahle kube nemvula lehambisana nekuvuma, sicele nje kube khona lokho kucaphela ngoba imvula lehambisana nekuvuma inawo nemathuba ukuthi umoya ube ngilocinile, nekuthi kube nesangcotho, nekuthi kube nemibane mhlawumbe ingacina bese seyiyathi ikhinyabeta letinye timvo lesitendako lekufaka ekhathi tindzaba temagesi mhlawumbe nekuphepha nje kwempilo ngoba kulesinye isikhathi ukhanza ukuthi sekulimele imfuyo nabo bantu. Sesikushito lokho ke kungaba kucela nje ukuthi kulesikhathi lesikuso lithi lingakavumi lingakahushi lingakani siciniseke ukuthi konke mhlawumbe lokungadala ingoti kukhweshisiwe noma mhlawumbe lapho kudinga ukuthi kulungiswe khona kulungiswe, lokunye kufaka ekhathi liphahla lwetindlu.
Nalababuka timo tiseta lekuhlangothi lwe-early warning unit bathi basemkhankasweni wokuqinisa tipopolo tabo ukuthi bakhone kubona leto timo noma-ke tehlakalo tisangakenteki siveke sicwayiseke kusesenesikhathi. Elizabeth Ngingugiyani Msibi ngisembabane.
Mengameli wenhlangano yemidlalo werugby lapha eveni Bandile Vilakade uthi emave langentasi nesifundza selivekati le-Afrika afise ukuthi yahlangane yadlale imidlalo yawo njalo ngeminyaka kute-ke kutawunyuka lezinga lekudlala kulesifundza. Vilakade bekakhuluma ngemuva kwekuthi yangenele umhlangano wenhlangano leyengamele umdlalo werugby emhlabeni lebewubanjelwe eveni lase-France.
Ngaphambi kokuthi kudlala umanqama endzebe yemhlaba emidlalo werugby eveni lase-France, emavela amalunga lenhlangano lengamele umdlalo werugby emhlabeni athola lithuba lekuhlangana atsingitse tindzaba letitsinza indzaba yerugby kumave lahlukahlukene ikakhulukati kumave lasathuthuka kulo mdlalo.
Tindzaba lesitikhulumisile ngosi ngiko lokuthi simave ase-Afrika osifundza sasadake sidzinga lokuhlangana sikhone kusebenzisana ukuthi sibe nema-competitions ethu lesitawukhona ukuthi njengoba nje ubona enhla ne-Afrika banawo ema-competitions ema-sevens labaye batibambele wona ladlalwako mnyaka yonke kanti la ngentasi ne-Afrika ukhanza ukuthi kuyashoda lithuba lesizamise kuba nalo lekudlala ngesikhathi mhlambe kunema-qualifiers. So sibukile-ke singilabo labaphethekele tinyonyane la ngephasi kwase-Afrika lokuthi nathi masingakhona kutakhela yethu i-competition mhlawumbe sizame kuthola labo labangasichasa basilekelele singakhona singilamave ukuthi nathi ngeminyaka sibe nawo ema-games lesiba nawo singilamave ndzawonye noma kumbe ngekucocoma ngalive ngalinye la ngakhona ukuthi nathi asisite ezisachuba wona lo mdlalo.
Kanzi Vilakade uphinze wabongela likhethelo lesive laseNingizimu Afrika emabhokobhoko ngekuphakamisa lendzebe wathi kunyenti live leSwatini lelingakufunza kuyo iNingizimu Afrika. Lobikela umsakato eSwatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini embabane.
Tingako talapha ekhaya sibahlole emarket sitawubuya sichubeke nelihlelo.
What do you think the best part of traveling is? Is it the food, or is it the conversation, or is it the sights and sound? If you're ready to explore, we are ready to show you the best way how. We'll give you access to the best luxury getaway sites in the Kingdom of Eswatini and of course show you vacation sites that suit your budget because you do not need a lot of money to actually have a great time. Join us on the next adventure on Buhle Bethu, only on Eswatini TV.
Eswatini Lifestyle is all about inspiration, drive, and swag. Eswatini Lifestyle is informative and fun while covering all aspects of life, be it people, places, and trends in the Kingdom of Eswatini. We got you covered. The focus is on the quality of life. Eswatini Lifestyle will spark your interest. Catch Eswatini Lifestyle every Friday at 7:30 p.m. on Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswana.
We're talking about data today. Why should you care about data? How can health data help you? Here to talk to us about it is Dr. Samira Azma. Welcome, Samira. Samira, talk to us about what health data can do for us. Why should we care about it?
Vismita, why we should care about data is that data is just not about numbers. Data is about life and death and quality of life. Data is about people we interact with every day, our mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and children. Data is used to empower them, and data is also used to hold ourselves accountable as well as the world accountable for the right decisions we should make to make the environments healthier for populations. Let me start by a basic question. Is that what kills most of the people? The fact of the matter is today, many of the deaths go unrecorded. And we don't know for many deaths and many people what kills them. The cause of death is not recorded. And with that, we have a blind spot. And data truly tells us where to invest, where to make a difference. Without data, we are truly flying blind.
So Samira, what you're describing is if we don't have data on births and deaths, clearly there is missing data, a lot of the times probably misrepresented data. So actually give us some examples of when health data has been used to save lives.
There has always been data that has driven successes in global health. For example, we know that tobacco use is responsible for billion deaths in this century. And we know that many more billions of people will have disability or will be driven into poverty as a result of tobacco use. And with having good data on tobacco use and tobacco control policies, we are able to know what solutions work the most to prevent kids from starting to smoke or for adults to quit. And we have very good cases, for example, from Philippines and Thailand, where those governments had the foresight and increased tobacco price as a result of tobacco taxation, and revenues were generated. that resulted in that these governments were able to fund their healthcare systems and health promotion in their respective countries. But we want more countries to use this evidence and data to drive these promising policies.
WHO works with data all the time, and a lot of the times data will be questioned when we generate reports. Talk to us about how WHO works with data and how can people know that they are looking at data that's robust?
It has been a challenge to gather real-time information on the COVID infections and deaths related to the virus and associated with COVID. There is often a delay in countries reporting to WHO because of lack of capacity or lag time in submitting data to WHO. But what happened with the COVID pandemic is we reported excess deaths for the first 2 years of the pandemic. And excess deaths is both the direct and the indirect deaths related to COVID-19 pandemic. What WHO does to produce such estimates is we work with world-class experts from all over the world. We come up with a methodology that we will use when we gather data and apply that methodology to address some of the gaps and challenges that I mentioned, that not all countries have similar access to generate and capture that data. And then we produce these estimates, but we consult with the countries. And there is a lot of back and forth that happens, and we update the estimates. And we continue to track population health trends in the quest to make the world healthier and protect people from health emergencies.
So does that worry you when you work with data, when WHO's data is questioned?
It is all about finding the truth. It is like climbing a mountain. When you keep working towards it and climb upwards, you have better view. So as we work with data and we gather more information from different sources, we have a better understanding and a better view. There is no absolute. When anyone says anyone is 100% accurate, we truly have to be cautious. Science doesn't work that way. We have to continue to learn and continue to refine our approaches so that we get closer to the truth.
Thank you, Samira. That was Science in 5 today. Until next time, then stay safe, stay healthy, and stick with science.
Right, it's 40 minutes after 6 ngwelo muhle siphindze sikwamukele lihlelo nishilo ke nasicala lihlelo ukuthi sita ukhulumisana nebaka Ministry of ICT sibabonile itolo nebaka Escom baphakamisa umsebenzi omkhulu Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Siyafuna ke kuvaka bandi ngawo lo msebenzi from Mr. Wandile Mhlanga from Ministry of ICT. Sikuvusele Khabako. A very good morning. How are you?
Siyanivusela mina kethu siyabavusela nebalaleli emakhaya.
Babe Mhlanga sibona niphakamisa umsebenzi omkhulu esukweni la itolo Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Indzaba lena lecishe tonke lenkampani nje tonke leseti integrated indzaba tebuchwephesha etinkampani ntabo ngathi tisukumela etulu kakhulu kanti ngathi sive pretty much lagging behind kule uptake. Engabe what are we seeing here and how are we going to address this kule nyanga sangena kuyo nje cyber awareness cyber security awareness month sorry.
Nembala usho sibili mina kethu. Le inkinga lesibona konyalo ukuthi I uptake ye technology iya ngekukhula even sesiyakhona kuba ne-access kuma-devices ikakhulu ema-smart devices itolo ngisho bantwana labancane bokhanza ukuthi bababede licingo kepha namuhla ngisho umntwana lomncane soyakwati ukudlala ngelicingo soyakhona ukuthi abe ne-access kepha ke lokho sekusilethela inkinga lensha lethi letingoti noma ke lobungoti lobutholakala la kuleta bangcondo womshini sesi exposed kakhulu kuyinkinga ke noma ke ngithi silitiko vele kusinika inkinga lokuthi sikhanze ukuthi sive singemuva ekwatini letingoti letingaba khona futhi singakwati lokuthi phephisa sisasebenzisa letekuchumana.
Siyathwala ukuthi utsindzaba yetingoti nyalo siyathwala ukuthi sicubulo salenyanga sithi tivikele be cyber smart be cyber secure be cyber smart engabe nasikhulumisa indzaba yetivikela usa navigator tona indzaba tebuchwephesha sikhuluma ngani kahle ngoba lomunye ucabanga ukuthi utivikele simangale ngakusasa hawu nawe sebakwekhile sebakuthathele imali lo besithi sibuka labanye nawe itolo sithi hawu lona sobamthethe njani advantage kungathi dinengi letindlela la khona sithi khanza we have been taken advantage of lana nawe bowutitshela ukuthi uhlakaniphile sawukhanza sebakwende njalo ngabe sisho ukuthina sithi vele tivikele yini letivele kufuna sithi nakisisa.
Yebo usasebenzisa leti tekuchumana ngingathi mina le digital realm iyafana nempilo nje lesikiyo in general. Na usebenzisa tekuchumana kwecala akufuneka ukuthi uthembe konke sithi if it's too good to be true vele it's not true. You must be careful. Sibonile abaningi ukhanze ukuthi bathola imibiko etingcingweni tabo lebanika imlayeto lengemanga ukhanze sebayilandzela lemilayeto leyo lokunye nje kwakona lokuthi lucingo lwakho phela tincingo sesibhanga ngato tincingo sesitfola imilayeto sisebenzisa tona nasemisebentini so lucingo kumcoka ukuthi lube password protected noma ke ukhona ukuthi kube likhuni ukuthi lomunye umuntu longasumni kadwalo alusebenzisa lokho ke kutawenda ukuthi imilayeto yakho igcineke kahle.
Kunana kuke lokufika kubese sekutenda kaSingisi lesikhulu kanzi mina ngiyayingikhathathe ngoba ngiyababona labo WhatsApp mina nje ngiya WhatsAppa na makele ekhaya losowa retire ngiya WhatsAppa nababe labanye ba WhatsAppa ngisho nabo gogo babo khanza ukuthi kunabo family group bogogo nabo sebahola la tingcingweni kwana tinfo tabo encryption tabo end to end user encryption khanza ukuthi ngale Singisi senu saka ICT nisinani sichazela nithi ukuthi utisite lokho uthi ube protected but inqumbi yabantu abakwati ukuactivate noma ukuthi kusho ukuthini ngoba kufika vele ngathi kufuna wena lo ukuthi uku-activate because sekufuna imininingwane yakho letsite noma leyo confidential password yakho vele lota ayisebenzisa ukuthi uku-activate. How do we build these capabilities? Ngiyabona lo ukuthi nithena niphakamisa lo msebenzi itolo kunel sentence lelithi the campaign also aims to build capabilities to prevent cyber threats and promote the reporting of cyber incidents. Angeke singafiki bo reporting of cyber incidents. If we're building capabilities ukuthi bantu bakwathi lokho protect, how do we go about doing that? Emaswatini lokufuna ayadi vele.
Ngicabanga ukuthi lokumcoka kakhulu ngilokuthi liswati ngalinye libe nayo lendlala yekwati lokuthi lingadivikela kanjani. Ngila sicala khona kude ukuthi ukhona ukuthi bese ke so uyaqala uyadivikela so thola leyo information. Kwecala lesitakwenda siyathi ukuthi sikuma levels lehlukene ngelwati. Lesitakwenda njengelitiko le Ministry of ICT ikakhulu labo labake baye esikolweni sitawuba ne free course letawube online introduction to cybersecurity sibambisene na Simba. Siyathi ukuthi nangabe uke wangena esikolweni as you go through that course itawukhona lokuthi ikuchache kancane ute ufike ku level la so understand khona ukuthi sikhuluma ngani. Ikhona nalenye i-course yalabo lotawukhanza ukuthi mhlambe seba more technical i-cyber threat management bese sekuba ne ethical hacking course lotawukhanza ukuthi ke itamsita lo lotayithatha ukuthi akhone ku understanda noma ku increase ema capabilities akhe ukuthi akhone ukudivikela asasebenzisa kwengqondo machine nekuvikela ke inkampani yakhe.
Encenye, if we may just highlight some of ema cyber incidents lesisiwabonile avela itolo nala possible because perhaps sengafika kulamanye ama level awukhanza khona ukuthi you've been hacked ultimately ukuthi vele usala awunalutho. I think we've seen some of those instances happen in other developed countries lekhona vele abahackako so kwaba professional job ukuthi bahacke abantu. Let's talk about some of these incidents babe Mhlanga ekutheni emaswati atawuba aware ukuthi encenye lomnyaka athi nethi vele so wahackwa ngalendlela ukuthi angakhona nekuyireporta lento.
Ngingathi lokumcoka kakhulu ngiloku utfola lolwati njengoba nje sikhuluma sibone incumbi yama incidents ke la Swatini nje tinkinga lesitibonile kakhulu ngileti tabo cyber bullying. Kukhona ke lokunye lokhanza ukuthi lokho ku personal kukhona lokhanza ukuthi ku target thatha inkampani kubitwa ngabo ransomware lotawukhanza ukuthi bafaka ligciwane lelithite kule machine yenu nabafake leligciwane bese bathi kuze kuthi nitfole lemininingwane noma nitfole lokula machine kwale nkampani kufuna nikhokhe imali lethite kuze kuthi nitfole lokho. You can imagine nje ukuthi mhlambe lokho kwendeke ku data center elive noma kwendeke e-Ministry of Health ngibekise lokho kusho ukuthi i-system leyo le critical yebo so kufuna ukuthi nabo labasebenza leti tabongcondo mshini etinkampanini leti tsite bakhona lokuconza tonke letingoti letikhona letichumana.
I can just imagine a case where noma emabhange noma like the Ministry of Health njengoba usho such critical information and confidential information lokhanza ukuthi ilapha. Ngifuna singene kule strategy kenyalo the Eswatini National Cybersecurity Strategy. I believe saqala ngeminyaka wa 2020 up to ngeminyaka wa 2025. It was also presented at the launch. Engabe yini lesibuka kakhulu kule strategy between le minyaka lesesele nje ikakhulu ngoba siyabona 2020 to 2023 3 years has elapsed. We're looking at 2 years now. What are we looking at strengthening and implementing?
Mhlambe nje kulungisa kancane le strategy kwaba nema delays latsite so sisuka ku 2022 to 2027 lo shokuthi yes a year has elapsed vele. Le strategy sibuka into letifana na kona lokuthi kufuna ukuthi ku create ke I culture ye awareness nje esiven sibe i-society lekhona ukuthi ivikela siphinze futhi sibuye ukuthi bantu kufuna ukuthi babe nalama capabilities sikhone lokuthi abe khona lama skills even lekuthi sikhone ukuthi ivikela singarely ngaphandle futhi kufuna ukuthi sibe nendlela yokuthi si collaborate tindzaba tabo tekuganga kubongcondo mshini akusito tindzaba deliver linye kuthiwa tindzaba leti lobu bucala lobungenamingcele lokusho ukuthi kufuna ukuthi kube khona kusebenzisana kwematiko ngekwehlukana tinkampani nahulumende nemave futhi akhona ukuthi abambisane ukuthi alwe nalenkinga le.
Cha kuyevakala. Nginanakule ngike ngakunaka kakhulu particularly kubantu labasha siyathi khanza la khona sonke sesifuna kuba abantu be-ICT. Obviously we are living in an age where vele na fourth industrial revolution is compelling us ukuthi sibe up to speed with the digitalization. Kunenzaba lenkulu ke la khona sonke sesifuna kwathi tinto kunabo VPN ukhanze ukuthi ngidawuthi ngifuna ukudownload i-application lalicingweni lami athi App Store noma athi Google Play, this application is not available in your region. Athi umngane wami hayi wena singayithola lento lena faka VPN lapho VPN thatha location yakho athi wena usekho kangwane sose America so ayithola leyo application. Lokho akucompromise information yami akubese insekuvula ingcenye emagede la khona bengithi mina ngikhiyile sebabona labanye sebathikhanza ukuthi sebangangebela into thite noma sebangangi-attack.
Mhlambe ngingaqala ngalo ukuthi silitiko laka ICT siyakukhuthaza lokubantu bafune kwadi vele ngale tekuchumana because njengoba ngisho kunema advantages la khona lapha. VPN leka kwendako ukwenda ukuthi uthole ema resources mhlambe longeke uwatfole siphinzeke thine ngoba kwenda ukuthi umuntu angakhona ukutrace ukuthi le ngibani lo sebendako ukuphi siyaye sekukhuthate lokho ukuthi ukusebenzise nje thine as Ministry of ICT kakhulu nangabe ubhanga let's say uyahamba nje use airport le Dubai kufuna ukuthi nangabe ufuna ukubhanga noma ufuna kwenda lokuthide ukhona lokusebenzisa letindlela letitawenda ukuthi uphephe ngoba utawukhanza ukuthi uthola i-free wifi nje le airport so connect ecingweni lomuntu lothatha yonke le information ngoba njengoba sathi licingo lwami nje ngalibhala ngithi Dubai airport bese sengiya hotspot ungene wena utikhanza ungena mahala so kumcoka lokuthi le information vele nawusebenta ibhace kepha ke bungodi lobukhona la kubo VPN ngilokuthi ukhanza ukuthi se emaswati noma nje abantu labaningi sebasebenzisa labo VPN bamahala laba downloadwako nje la kubo App Store akusiko konke loku ku Google App Store lokuphephile for icingo lwakho lokunye lokuthi nje kushiphelele ukuthi utokhona lokuthi ukusebenzise kalula khanze ukuthi ngaloku kusebenzisa lokunye kuhamba nje nevirus yako sokukopa yonke information lela cingweni lakho nangabe usebenzisa VPN ufuna ukuthi usebenzise labo VPN betinkampani leti reputable.
I suppose then the challenge there becomes loku discern which one is reputable, which one is not. How do we really see ukuthi ngiyo lena vele lengeke ibese say compromise umsebenzi wami noma information yami? Do we see it by labo advert kwaba free is it? Do we see it by kuthi kube free bakhona invele bo VPN laba free but laba reputable engabe so how do we discern?
Ngathi ke vele kulukhuni lokwenda lo mehluko between the letinhlobo leti talama VPN kepha sikhathi lesiningi lokuvama kuphepha kahle ngiloku lota ukukhokhela imali ukubhadale ngoba utawukhona ukuthi nangabe sekukuphatha kabi bese soyayekela kusubscriber uyabona lo kumahala sikhathi lesiningi ukhanza ukuthi kumahala nje vele ngalokuthi kufuna ukuthi ukuthole melulu mhlambe lokunye umuntu langa ukukhutsata kunetinkampani lesitadiko nje abo Google
yes
nabo nema browser abo Opera lokhanza ukuthi ikhona le VPN lehambelana nayo yona le browser.
Okay.
So nangabe uyakhona ukuthemba le browser ungakhona ukuthemba nale VPN yakhona ungadownload nje ungayi ku Google usearch nje uthi download free VPN ngoba lapho vele tawungena ehlathini.
Yeah kunalenye indzaba besibuka nje la Sibayeni kunebantu labasha most of them labakhala ngokuthi kude imisebenzi sifuna imisebenzi leta ukhona ukuthi hambelane nekhastanyalo yetebuchwephesha lokhanza ukuthi incombi yayo sisina sibuka sithi siya benchmark abantu basebenza etindlini basebenza kuma computer nasetingcingweni vele sekubona na challenge ke ukuthi a lot of people in the process ukuthi kube nale revolution ye digitalization sibona abantu abaningi bayahackwa through this very same ecosystem la khona maybe lo munye will present you a job opportunity nibe nayo conversation ibukeke ingiyombamba bese kufaka kuniketa ilink ukuthi you register khona khanze ukuthi lapho sowuluze konke netimali takho tasemabhangi. What are we saying to the youth as they try to navigate their life, particularly during these trying economic times that compels them to look particularly for imisebenzi yetebuchwephesha nale remote? How do we navigate the space whereby they could easily get hacked natimali tabo letlincane labathi nje batkolekile nato setiyathathwa?
Ngingathi liswade ngalinye njengoba isho le campaign kumcoka ukuthi ucaphele utivikele ngoba lo mshikashika le lo uwenda uwedwa kwathi wena wedwa ukuthi usendlini wendani litiko likhashane ukuthi lingakusita kuleso sikhathi lekufuna ukuthi ukucaphele kakhulu sibonile nje abantu labaningi baluza imali ngema Facebook advertisements balandzele bathenga imoto bacabanga ukuthi bathatha itfola kani umuntu usota unyamalala once wa deactivate account so unyamalela so nala kule misebenzi lotayenda online sitawuchubeka sithi yani kulama site latiwako ube lokunye futhi ucaphele le site lapha etulu kuyenteka ukuthi ukhanze ukuthi FNB careers kepha naso uyabuka lapha etulu kulo FNB nawubuka le website yakho kube khona nje lokwehlukile kulo FNB lo matiko ingcenye bo B babe babili ukhanze ukuthi wena awunaki ngoba ubona le website ifana exactly nalo lo yatiko ungena ucabanga ukuthi wena uka FNB ne-information yakho konke imininingwane uyifaka ka FNB kanti soyifaka ehlathini so kumcoka kakhulu ukuthi ngamunye acaphele vele kwesibili nangabe abantu batakucasha angeke batakucasha bese basikhokha imali
yes
vele nje ubone lapho ukuthi khona lokushaya imali vele ubone ukuthi khona lokushaya imali lapho.
Mhlanga, thank you so much for your time. I'm afraid ukuthi isikhathi sesivele sasilimalela kanti ke kuningi lebese sengakukhulumisa but Eswatini Cybersecurity Awareness Month is officially the month of November eMaswati. Kuthathwa ukuthi ativikele asa navigator dona tindzawo ke tetebuchwephesha websites netinkundla tekuxhumana empeleni ngoba uveta yona nje babemhlanga ukuthi bakusendela nema links lokhanza ukuthi sebakwebela khona netimali takho noma information yakho le confidential seba compromised. Sithembe ukuthi ke eMaswati atawilandzela le campaign babemhlanga nesayichuba inyanga yonke. I believe there will be a lot of programs lasetawuphakanyiswa in between the month. Sithemba ukuthi ke konke kutawuba impumelelo asibahlole emakethe sitawubuya sibuke indzaba tesingisi.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
we cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chess boards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at our English news. Her Majesty the Indlovukazi has arrived in the Republic of South Africa. Her Majesty was given a warm welcome when she arrived in the neighboring country, which has good relations with the Kingdom of Eswatini.
Republic of South Africa accorded Her Majesty the Indlovukazi a warm welcome when she arrived in Johannesburg on Tuesday evening. Her Majesty's visit highlights the good relations that exist between the Kingdom of Eswatini and the Republic of South Africa, and is further set to affirm the warm bonds of friendship that link South Africans and Emaswati.
Go.
Her Majesty's delegation comprises Their Royal Highnesses Prince Mboyisa and Princess Lomajuba and Chief Gogoma. On the news, I am Sandile Makanya reporting from Johannesburg in South Africa.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, Phesheya Dube, says Eswatini has lost about 177 million emalangeni, with 95% cases being online fraud, hence the need for everyone to be cyber smart. The Principal Secretary was speaking at Hilton Garden Inn in Mbabane during the Cybersecurity Awareness Month in Mbabane.
The Principal Secretary says it is important for everyone to collectively fight cybercrime. He continues to say the Ministry and the Eswatini Communications Commission will this month embark on a campaign to raise awareness on cybercrime. The Principal Secretary says child trafficking cases are on the rise in the country, of which 60% originate from social media platforms.
Silonja kakhulu ke i-Cybersecurity Awareness Month lo muhla lapho khona ke sidabe siphumela ngaphandle sifundisa sive ngokuthi basasebenzisa lama gadgets noma ke incingo ama laptop nako konke nje lama digital gadgets bativikele kanjani ngoba phela sesibonile ukuthi inombolo tiyenyuka onke amalanga inombolo bo cyberbullying dalokwa nalokwa so sithi cha asivele sifake amandla ekutheleni sisifundise sive.
Eswatini Communications Commission Chief Executive Officer Mvilawembi Dlamini says they have put measures in place to prevent cybercrime.
And of ensuring online safety in Eswatini lies on the shoulders, because we cannot have a robust economy without the necessary safeguards for the citizens. Cyber threats can lead to financial losses, reputation damage, and even legal implications. Implementing robust security measures helps protect sensitive information, such as personal data, financial details, intellectual property, from falling into the wrong hands.
The Principal Secretary says the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology has enacted the Computer Crime and Cybercrime Act of 2022, the Data Protection Act of 2022, and the Electronic Transactions Act of 2022 in an effort to stop cybercrime and ensure cyber safety. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Mbabane.
Motorists have appreciated the fuel price decrease that is expected to be effective on Friday, the 3rd of November 2023. Our reporter, LinkedIn Kule, gives us more on that story.
The Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy has announced that fuel price will decrease by 2 emalangeni on Thursday midnight, and the new prices will be effective on Friday, the 3rd of November 2023. We spoke to a number of motorists around town here in Mbabane, and they are applauding government for such a magnificent step towards reviving the economy of the kingdom.
Nawungazama at least wehle noma ngabo 3 rand to 4 rand man. Ube less than 20 rand le liter for petrol.
Loko lokuncane nje lokwentekile kutasita thina. Ngoba vele yisesidonsa sesebenzela lo petrol vele nyana.
Ngiyona ngaphindi ungathuthi uyehla kancane ngasidakele kakhulu.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ni petrol.
A majority of the motorists we spoke to are saying fuel plays a major role in reviving the country's economy because everything that we produce, they travel to the market using this commodity, fuel. The ministry is saying the fuel price decrease is as a result of a huge global supply of oil in oil markets, hence the fuel price decrease that you are seeing in the Kingdom of Eswatini. The ministry is urging motorists to use fuel wisely at this time of the year. Also, what contributed to the fuel price decrease is the Lilangeni dollar exchange rate. There was a depreciation there, especially around the month of September 2023. For Eswatini TV News, I am Lincoln Kule with Skumbuzo Dlamini and Bendulo Kumbi in Babani.
Eswatini Beverages has donated pedestrian bollards to Matsapa town boards, which will be from the Police Academy to Matangeni. The Undersecretary in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Makosi Simelane, says they are hoping that this will reduce the number of accidents that occur in this stretch.
Last year we did a similar investment, but this year the difference is, versus last year we had a stretch of about 800 kilometers. This year we're having a stretch of 1.7 kilometers in the Matsapa area. So we are super excited to partner with the municipality, the council.
The Undersecretary in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Makosi Simelane, says the donation will help the ministry to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Goal number 11 of creating safe and sustainable cities.
This particular initiative could not have come at a better time where the numbers for Matsapa in terms of persons that walk along the roads, they keep rising all the time. And we also appreciate that this initiative is going to also help safeguard the infrastructure itself.
The town clerk Laki Sugati says such a donation was greatly needed as there has been numerous accidents in the Police Academy Matangeni stretch. He says there are a lot of people in this stretch as it is used by people working in local firms.
It will really assist in separating the two, and it will really assist in getting less accidents whereby pedestrians are knocked off by cars.
Last year, Eswatini Beverages donated 270,000 emalangeni for installation of pedestrian bollards along First Street in Matsapa Industrial Area. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla, Giyani Msibi, Matsapa.
The second phase of the multidisciplinary geoscience mapping project will cost government 18 million emalangeni. This was said by the Chief Geologist, Dr. Nowandleko.
The Minister of Natural Resources and Energy under the Geology Survey Department, in partnership with the Ministry of Defense and Council of Geoscience in South Africa, has completed phase 1 of the multidisciplinary geoscience mapping in the country. The first phase of the survey covered the Wowo region as well as parts of the Manzini region. Chief Geologist Dr. Nowandleko says the second phase of the project will be launched before the end of this month.
We negotiated and we eventually agreed on the 18 million. We never changed the methodology, the scope of works. And then now, as of last week, the tender board did grant us authority to award the consultant to go ahead. So currently we are busy putting together a service level agreement that will guide, a contract that will guide us in our operations. So we have to forward it to the Attorney General's office to approve it, and then from there then we can go ahead.
The second phase of the multidisciplinary geoscience mapping project will be completed by April next year. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza with Sikumbuzo Dlamini, Babane.
The Eswatini Communications Commission and the United Nations Development Programme, as well as the Small Enterprises Development Company, have signed an agreement which seeks to enhance universal access to information communication aid, as well as technology services to Emaswati at an affordable cost. ESCOM's Chief Executive Officer Mvilawempi Dlamini says the agreement will, amongst other things, empower micro, small and medium enterprises.
This initiative in particular aims to improve service delivery, ensure that access to ICTs become more inclusive, especially for the most marginalized segments of our population. It is the Commission's unyielding stance to foster partnerships and collaborations that elevate the quality of life of our citizens. In light of this, we pledge our utmost commitment and dedication to achieving the objectives laid out in the MOU we're signing today.
United Nations Development Programme's resident representative Rose Sesebatindira says the role of digital technology in advancing civic engagement cannot be overstated.
One is to provide digital solutions for improved public services and other government functions to advance the implementation of the SDGs. We'll endeavor to establish collectively local content hubs to enhance content quality production in the multimedia sector and to enhance youth employability, entrepreneurship, and building of appropriate skills through the development of local and indigenous content.
SADCO's Chief Executive Officer Khethiwe Mhlanga says they are committed to this agreement.
And SADCO is quite committed to provide services which will promote entrepreneurship to the SMEs. Through training, we'll still be providing that capacity building. We'll be providing the business coaching. We'll be providing the mentorship aspect and marketing and having those financial linkages to ensure that these ICT hubs are utilized effectively.
This engagement by the three partners will help Eswatini realize the recommendations by the World Bank on the Digital Economy Diagnostic Report 2022 for government to commit to strengthening information communication and technology infrastructure. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Mbabane.
The Eswatini Television Authority Chief Executive Officer Mlamuli Dlamini says African states need to tell their own stories in a high quality and excellent manner. The CEO was speaking when bidding farewell to Namibian Broadcasting Corporation delegation on Wednesday.
The Namibian Broadcasting Corporation delegation was in Eswatini for a 3-day benchmarking exercise. Speaking during a farewell ceremony on Wednesday, Eswatini Television Authority CEO Mlamuli Dlamini spoke on the importance of African states telling their own stories.
Africans need to solve African problems. Africans need to come together, right, to tell African stories and not wait for someone else to tell African stories, which is when you pause and think about it, it's what's been happening for the longest time, right? But we need to tell our stories and do it in a high quality and great excellence manner. And the way we do that, or the way we get there, is through what's happening right here.
Head of the NBC delegation, Joseph Antonio, said they have learned quite a lot from their visit.
We hope that our engagement will not end here. We will have more of this type of engagement. And we are also inviting your staff member to come to NBC, see the infrastructure, see the people, learn the new culture from that side.
The two broadcasting stations ended their meeting by affirming their commitment into attaining the Southern African Broadcasting Association SABA's goal of producing high-quality content. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza with Zikumbuzo Dlamini, Babane.
The National Blood Transfusion Services has collected over 1,000 units of blood during the 2-week blood drive campaign, which has been conducted in the Lubombo and Hoho regions, respectively. Blood Bank Quality Manager Sizwe Shabangwe encouraged the Emaswati to donate more blood.
Due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the National Blood Transfusion Service experienced a decrease in blood donation. The blood bank then launched a blood drive targeting schools, towns and churches situated in the Lubombo and Howo region. Blood bank quality manager Sizwe Shabangu says during the drive, they were able to collect over 1,000 units of blood.
Gogonke singasho nje ukuthi empeleni lo mkhankaso bothi sifuna 2,000 ma units. Sakhona ukuthi sivaka sithole amadona lathi 1,418. Lokwende ukuthi sikhole ingadi lethi 1,066. Ingadi iyinye nasiyikweleka ilast emalanga lang 42. Lokwenda ukuthi nabe siyikweleka enyalo utakhanda ukuthi iphela la kubo emaviki eqala aDecember. Lokusho ukuthi sive singasikhuthata ukuthi sibuye ngemandla sikweleke sisilethele ingadi loyo nje adinikela adonate ukuze ukuthi le ngadi ikhona ukuthi ilast iyele ngoJanuary.
The blood bank needs at least 200 units of blood a day to sustain local hospitals. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Swekoza with Zikumbuzo Dlamini Babane.
The Higher Education Council gathered companies and other stakeholders to discuss how to link the industry with academic institutions such as graduates who graduate with saturated programs which increase high unemployment rates because their programs are out of demand.
We now have a national outcry that graduates from universities and colleges are not the type that industry is expecting. So what is important is that we need to provide the forum and opportunities for industry to give the tertiary institutions their current and future needs so that this can be factored into the curriculum, enabling the student to be the type that is expected by industry. It's also important for industry to provide work learning opportunities for students during training and immediately after so that they get exposed to what is current and happening in industry, making them better placed for being employed.
Groups of 2 to 5 students have to pick a topic that they work on over a minimum of 4 weeks. That again leads to a research paper or a research report at the end of this. And then we have, in addition to that, outdoor education. We are an international school. We recognize the importance of place in our curriculum, like the impact of sustainability by climate change is very important in Eswatini. So we have a robust outdoor education program that all of our students also get a chance to participate in some way or another.
Any student that is graduating from any institution should be able to have basic skills. How do you conduct yourself in an interview? How do you dress up? How do you answer questions, etc.? I have never seen it happening. I have never. So these are the things that you need to consider as you are running the different courses in the different institutions, that on the last year, prepare the student for the outside world.
The director of the Meteorology Department, Dudun Hlengetwa, urges members of the public to be cautious at all times and stay safe, especially if weather forecasters have predicted heavy rains, because they may be accompanied by hailstorms. She says the public must listen to weather forecasters to avoid loss of life and property.
The director of the Meteorology Department, Dudun Hlengetwa, says whenever they issue a weather forecast, especially when it has been predicted that rains will be accompanied by thunderstorms, then there is a possibility of hailstorms. Everyone must prepare themselves.
We need to ensure that anything that could be blown away by winds is cleared or secured, and we open our waterways so that the water, in case of heavy downpours, clears as quickly as possible to avoid flooding and damage of our homes and other infrastructure. We also request that whenever we forecast thunderstorms, we request the nation to ensure that they keep a close ear to the rest of the forecast, and because thunderstorms sometimes go with heavy winds and sometimes with hailstorms. So we need to be prepared for that and keep a close ear, because sometimes as we get closer to the event, it becomes more clearer and we issue warnings, including through radio and other social media platforms.
The early warning unit as well is also working towards strengthening its unit in order to issue accurate weather forecast. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi, Mbabane.
And on international news, Islamabad issued an ultimatum in early October to 1.7 million Afghans it says were living illegally in Pakistan. Leave by November 1 or face arrest and expulsion. The government has blamed recent militant attacks on Afghans living in Pakistan. Faced with the impossible choice, many Afghans are now choosing to leave the country despite having made their homes there.
Trucks line up at a holding center on Pakistan's border with Afghanistan. This as a deadline imposed from Islamabad looms to expel undocumented migrants. Afghan nationals who've made Pakistan home for decades also forced to flee.
I'm in a lot of pain. I've spent 28 years here, but today it seems I'm paying for that. Pakistan has issued me with a national ID card, but I'm still forced to leave because they consider me Afghan.
Pakistan has been home to an estimated 1.7 million Afghan refugees who've been arriving in the country since the 1970s. Recently, Pakistani officials adopted a hardline stance on foreigners and began blaming Afghan nationals for militant attacks and other crimes carried out in the country. Afghans who've never lived in Afghanistan and those with young children now grappling with what comes next.
I can restart my business, but I'm worried about the education of my daughters. Today, they're in elementary school, but the Taliban doesn't allow girls to go to school. So I worry about their education and their future.
Taliban officials have reportedly set up temporary camps to house repatriated citizens. The flow, however, is pressuring authorities who've called on Pakistan for more time so it can process the influx.
The first foreign passport holders and injured Gazans to be evacuated from the Palestinian enclave passed through the Rafah crossing into Egypt on Wednesday. Under a deal mediated by Qatar, now people leaving Gaza described the difficult living conditions in the besieged strip, where water and electricity are scarce and relentless bombardment by Israeli forces. Here's a report.
Ambulances line up at Rafah crossing, bringing wounded Palestinians to Egypt for medical treatment. They are among the first vehicles to be allowed to leave the Gaza Strip on the 26th day of the conflict between Israel and Hamas. Crossings had until now been obstructed by disagreements between Egypt, Israel and the Islamist rulers of Gaza, after Qatar brokered a deal about 500 foreign citizens and dual nationals were allowed to leave Gaza via the crossing on Wednesday. One Jordanian citizen who said he lost 76 members of his extended family during the bombings finally got to leave after repeated attempts.
This is not the first time I've come here. It's the fifth time. I came after a phone call from the Jordanian Foreign Ministry. Last night they called me and told me my name was on a list for evacuation today and that I should be at the border crossing at 9 a.m. Of course I came, and you can see the situation here.
Others leaving described a trying time as Gazans grappled with food shortages and bombings, but they're happy to be out.
We faced many problems in Gaza, the least of which were a shortage of water and power cuts. There were bigger problems too, such as the bombardments. We were very afraid. Many families were martyred.
Canadian embassy called us every day nearly to make sure that we are doing fine and we're doing good. But this time they couldn't reach because of the low connection for the internet and no service for calling and receiving messages.
Rafah is the sole point at which aid has been delivered since the conflict began, but the convoys have been much smaller than what is needed to deal with the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza, Fuel has also been prevented from crossing, as Israel says Hamas would use it for terrorism.
Much of northwestern Europe went on high alert on Wednesday as a storm dubbed Kyrian threatened to bring gale forces, winds and extreme rainfall to the region. 3 French departments, which is the Finistère, Côte d'Armor and Manche, will be placed on red storm alert, the highest level at midnight 2300 GMT. National Weather Agency Metro France said. Meanwhile, 30 other departments, including Paris and its surrounding regions, are placed on orange alert.
Hours to go before the arrival of Storm Kyrian, this town in the northwest of France is leaving nothing to chance. The mayor and her team are out distributing sandbags to residents to reduce the risk of flooding.
There could be a lot of flooding. They're forecasting 150 kilometres an hour.
There is surely a risk of flooding, even if it's light. Unfortunately, against water, there's not a whole lot you can do. So we're doing what we can. We should try everything.
The incoming storm's arrival has pushed business owners to shut early and take precautions to prevent damage.
We need to ensure there's nothing outside which can fly away with the wind, because they forecast 150 kilometers per hour. We decided to close the restaurant so we don't put our clients or our staff in danger because we finish late.
Local authorities have closed off access to beaches, and boat owners went to ports on the Atlantic to tie up their vessels in the hopes that damage is minimized.
I've been here for over 30 years and I've never known anything like this. It's going to be insane. I'm not calm. Nobody's calm.
Weather forecasters have placed 3 departments in northwestern France on red storm alert, with 30 departments on orange alert. The French Interior Ministry has announced the deployment of over 3,000 firefighters to areas expected to be the hardest hit.
Digital officials, tech company bosses and researchers are converging Wednesday at a former code-breaking spy base near London to discuss and better understand the extreme risks posed by cutting-edge artificial intelligence. Now, pushing for a global AI advisory board based on the United Nations panel on climate change, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is hoping to position the UK as a leader in the rapidly developing field.
Park, the iconic birthplace of computer science. It's here that the first ever global summit on AI safety is taking place, bringing together top officials from 28 countries with executives from cutting-edge tech firms. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak hoping to position the UK as a leader in the rapidly developing field.
There can be no serious strategy for AI without at least trying to engage all of the world's leading AI powers.
Sunak is pushing for a global AI regulation advisory board, based on the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Other governments, meanwhile, are already racing to bring their regulations up to speed. This week, US President Joe Biden signed a sweeping executive order aimed at protecting people from the potential harms of the technology, from its use in fraud or disinformation to the development of weapons. The EU, meanwhile, is aiming to agree major legislation, the AI Act, by the end of December. With recent applications like ChatGPT making unprecedented advances, leading researchers in the field are calling on governments to do more to manage AI risks.
Definitely see a lot of potential risks in misinformation, and then actually over time sort of moving the public conversation and swinging votes, etc.
Some have questioned the summit's focus on future existential threats to humanity from cutting-edge frontier AI, saying more energy should be devoted to the more mundane threats to jobs and civil society that the technology is already posing.
And on sports news, Eswatini Rugby Union President Bandile Vilagati says Southern African countries that are members of the World Rugby Union are planning to launch a SADC tournament which will enable the still developing countries to play more games per calendar year. Vilagati was speaking after attending the World Rugby Union Assembly, which was held in France over the past weekend.
before the World Cup final match between South Africa and New Zealand in France, where South Africa were the eventual winners. The World Rugby Union held its General Assembly. During the assembly, members of the union got a chance to discuss different rugby issues, more notably the development of the sports in African countries, where members from the southern part of Africa proposed to have their own mini tournament.
Tindzaba lesitikhulumisile ngosi ngiko lokuthi simave ase-Afrika osifundisa sasadake sidzinga lokuhlangana sikhone kusebenzisana ukuthi sibe nema-competitions ethu lesitawukhona ukuthi njengoba nje ubona enhla ne-Afrika banawo ema-competitions ema-sevens la bathi bambele wona dlalwa komnyaka yonke kanti la ngendasi ne-Afrika ukhanza ukuthi kuyashoda lithuba lesizamise kuba nalo lekudlala ngesikhathi mhlambe kunema-qualifiers so sibukile ke singilabo labaphethekele dinyonyane la ngephasi kwase-Afrika lokuthi nathi masingakhona kutakhela yethu i-competition mhlawumbe sizame ukuthola labo labangasichasa basilekelele singakhona singilamave ukuthi nathi ngeminyaka sibe nawo ema-games lesiba nawo singilamave nzawonye noma kumbe ngecocoma ngalive ngalinye la ngakhona ukuthi nathi asiside ezisaqhuba wona lo mdlalo.
Vilakazi also applauded the Springboks for winning a record 4th Rugby World Cup title. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini. Babane.
That's the end of our English news. Let's go for an ad break. We return with Swaga's Programs Director, Kusile Dlamini, as well as Knowledge Ngwenya, Swallows Pro, to discuss this concerning gender-based violence and femicide scourge. Don't go anywhere.
This weekend, Eswatini, your official weekend party starter. Tune in for the best of entertainment. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send your shout outs. Be sure to catch our movie segment where we review and give updates on all latest movies. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. You know the vibes, it's the beat down. The time is 8 p.m. It's time for you to relax, sit back, relax, and enjoy the music videos that I got for you.
Ngabukela ke washa umkhukhu every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Minutes after 7 kwalo muhle siyabonga ukuthi soloku uhleli nathi sifuna ke nyalo ukukhulumisana nalabaqhamuka lapha ka Eswatini Action Group Against Abuse. We do have Programs Director Make Kusile Dlamini. Sizabe seke sikhulumisana na Eswatini Swallows Football Pro Knowledge Ngwenya. Sifuna nje ukukhulumisa indzaba yekhula ngelizinga lelithusako le femicide nanakulabasi intimate partner violence ne gender based violence nebumqoka ukuthi bobabe babe involved successfully ku addresseni ke la ma challenges lawo. Sibona ngathi society, we are still harboring a frightening pace of femicide and gender-based violence, as well as intimate partner violence. But let's discuss this with Kusile Dlamini from the Eswatini Action Group Against Abuse, maybe to allude to possible interventions and support gender-based violence and femicide scourge. Let's see, Bonago. Welcome to the program. Ngathi ngiyangabata njengoba lemibuto mina engakhulu ngisafunza ngiyadibuta lo ukuthi kusesekhona le 949 ngalelizinga lokukulo after so many programs leniwendako other organizations la wendako nokuthi nje sibandfu nje sikwendelana lokho kucishe kunengakhulu kulanhloko yami ngithusa ke nangiloko ukuthi singena nyalo ku festive season siyasibona ukuthi during the festive season women and children are even more likely to experience domestic violence and rape. Sibuya kuna imphela sonto sibone silahlekele bosisibethu nabo make bethu labane lomunye uya recover esibhedlela tandleni dematfort. How are we addressing this thing? What's the problem? Talk to us about this year in particular, because I do remember during COVID-19 there was a growing concern in Zimbabwe ukuthi ngathi tiyanyuka let nombolo because songa semakhaya and there were frustrations. Not to say ukuthi that justifies lama actions, but we do hear ukuthi ngathi the numbers are still growing. Is that the case?
Angibonge msakati ngibingelele nababukele emakhaya. I do wish we were here on a different note, a more positive note. Inzaba yokuhlukubeteka nekubulawa kwebantu ikakhulu besifazane even la kangwane ifike ezingeni la seyithanza kudida khona. As you rightly say, sibonile tinombolo tikhuphuka during COVID. Because uma sithi vele gender based violence noma domestic violence, it's because yendeka emakhaya. Unfortunately for us as a country, we have not recovered from tragedies lesihlangene nawo from COVID. Nasisuka COVID singene ku political unrest as a country. Sasuka ku political unrest nayo lengakapheli completely. Sangena ku very, very challenging financial times. This has got to be one of the most difficult years that people have experienced, and it is challenging to our mental health as a society. Okay. Now, manengela ma issues la imbangela yalokukhula kwehlukubeteka kwebantu. But what is very disturbing is akukhuli lelizinga kuphela kukhula nalendlela lokwendeka ngayo. The level of brutality is completely out of order. But then it speaks and it goes back to how we as a society as a whole have chosen to behave and have chosen to use either certain legislations noma tindlela letitsite tekukorekita noma tekukorekita i-conflict. Now, I think in this country we've seen bantu basebenzisa, for instance, dagila bagangatsana bashayana you know ngetipagela. Gradually we saw an increase in the use of gun violence. Bantu ukhanza sandla isibhamsise sandleni semuntu that is licensed ngekwemthetho. But because of the many challenges that are there, mental health, lesibhamu becomes a weapon of possible destruction than of protecting or of correcting anything. Gufuna sikubukela ukuthi once we get to a point in a country where we get used to a situation, it's only likely to get worse. You know, I spoke to someone a couple of days ago, utsige, no, but nani bese niba emotional ngalama issues, and I said, wow, are you serious?
How can we not?
But that's the problem. We are not reacting to the level or the gravity at which we are being violated as a people, as women. We, saying business as usual. We've never seen a massacre of so many women in the hands of one man in this country, but it's business as usual. People do not seem to be shocked or outraged by the situation. And I think that's one of the very disturbing issues. When we become accustomed to violence as a people.
Wow.
Ngoba kusho ukuthi nakungasithusi lokho kutawuta nalokunye kungasithusi nalokunye kungasithusi. We need to be seriously disturbed. We need to be very angry. I said to some of the families naswavakashele, ngifisa kwexilo lusizi lwenu lwendlule.
Yeah.
Kungene anger, because we need to be angry as a country if we are not getting solutions. And then we need to identify kwexilama solutions kufanele kwetsakamge kuphi. Ourselves as individuals, what are we doing to change the level of violence? As the country, as the government, what are we doing to change the level of violence? As the church, as the traditional sectors, everybody, yini nzima lo idlalako yekwenda kwekuthi kuhlukubeteka kungabi kuleli zinga leli. Because if in this country we're going to have offender number 1 and the offense, licala lakhe lingevakali ukuthi liphele laphi, aphume ngebail abuyele society, it's saying to the next offender iyahambeka lendlela. I can do it and get away with it, and we're going to see more people doing it. Uma ngabe kungaqhamuki very, very drastic measures to say we're coming together as a country and responding to this crisis from all angles. And that is why we've been calling hulumende wethu ukuthi sicela realize we have a crisis on our hands when it comes to gender-based violence. Asat lokhu sikufuna kuze kufumdana labani kuze kuthi silive sibone ukuthi we have a state of emergency when it comes to gender-based violence. And we need to position ourselves to respond holistically as a country. I'm
asking myself, how do we propose we really respond in the angry way that we are talking about? Because you are absolutely right. I think I saw someone tweet on social media that, why are we shocked? And I'm like, we should be shocked, we should be angry. But at the same time, you sort of understand what this person is asking, that why have men really gotten to a point where society may have wanted to see this thing as a normal thing, as something that is normal to happen? Every now and then we hear about some of these incidents. How do we propose we be angry in a way that will compel society, that will compel our government, as you rightly put it, to take action? That obviously we are really putting an end to this thing, because as you keep talking that we need to respond as a society, of course, but it's so unfortunate that even the victim has to play an equal role as the aggressor in ending this thing. It's very sad.
It's very sad, because we put the burden on the victim. Protect. You know, Julius Malema said one time, if we can teach our boys and our men how to behave, we will not have to protect our women. And I think those are some of the things that we should take a couple of steps back and say, have we adequately invested in teaching our men how to behave? Sikhuluma nge-mental health, nyalo. These are the men that are killing women today because they're in a scenario where they have not been taught how to cry and say, I'm struggling financially. I'm angry because I'm a breadwinner, as I was always taught. I'm no longer seeing myself as the head of the family, as I've always believed. How do I continue to exist in a context where times are changing and I'm realizing where my power as a man is shifting? Maybe we need to go back to that issue and say, we have a different breed of men that are struggling to survive in the current context. How do we arm them enough to say, it doesn't take anything away from you as a man to go and seek counseling. It doesn't take anything away from you as a man. It doesn't reduce anything from you as a man to walk away from an argument. We need to go back and say, labo mage mhlambe leben bagatsi tolo are no longer existing. And I think we need to have that honest dialogue. And see how we continue to exist within this context without butchering each other.
You're raising an important point, how we can coexist in the times that have changed, as you have rightly put it. We also are seeing this narrative where men are advising each other, which I think is toxic, by the way, but I want to hear your insights. In cases where men are telling each other not to be vulnerable with their partners or with their sisters because they may use that against them when they're arguing. But what we're seeing is that men tend to bottle these things up, and that's a ticking time bomb. By the time that they realize it, it's very late, and how they are taking it out, it's probably in a very unfair way, where we're now marginalizing our women through femicide, through intimate partner violence. How do we really go about addressing this issue of being vulnerable with each other? Men can be vulnerable too.
Socialization plays a very strong part of how we behave. So the person that's advising the other person is the same person that has been socialized incorrectly, if I may put it that way. Gunedinvo that we need to unlearn as men that we learned growing up.
Okay.
There are things that we need to relearn as men that we missed growing up.
Okay.
There are simple things like allowing the boy child to kudlala ngemdoli. Somebody may see it as utamfundisa,
Yeah.
But it is tapping into the nurturing part of a male.
Okay.
It is giving the male the ability or the permission to know that they can be as strong as they can be delicate.
Yeah.
But if you remove exposing lo muntu from the side that is delicate, that is affectionate, that is allowed to be afraid, that is allowed to be vulnerable, you are living existence ye muntu long Superman.
Yeah.
That may not necessarily stand the test of time in the current times that we're living in. And because agati kwekuthi, once the macho-ness is removed from them, how else do they behave? When all the other power is gone, usala naleye tikhwepha kuphela emandla, and that is all they want to use to reaffirm their position as men. And that is what we need to look at. How do we go back and say, we can still live as a society, despite how much the dynamics have changed.
Yeah.
We can still live. But lokumqoka kakhulu is people need to understand that there are consequences for behaviors.
Yeah.
And if men are not reprimanded correctly and justly, it will continue as an acceptable type of behavior. Niyabati mosibanjena. Niyabati vele bakwata kakhulu bona. Niyabati mos nabakhanzi SMS bona vele bafuna kushaya umuntu. How many SMSs do we come across? Sishaya bobani. It's a whole issue of the gender imbalances that society has accepted.
And as you speak about socialization, I'm driving into something probably we should discuss that I think we haven't discussed enough as society. We are seeing that. Let's just talk about Eswatini. We have been an inherently patriarchal society, but we are happy that there are some interventions, not enough, well, we must highlight that, but we are happy that these interventions, for instance, the gender quotas, even in parliament, this year we've been seeing, even when it comes to the elections, how much 30% lapha endlini. When you speak about socialization, you're not just speaking about parliament and all these gender quotas, lendiwago, maybe on governance level or administration level. Nasemakaya, I believe, we are kuluma. Inzaba yekukhula emakaya. What is the role that the family can play? I do remember growing up, kubona lamanye ma family ukhanze ukuthi ngiyabekisa nje ngwesilisa ngidawushiya amasokisi nangibuya lapha esikoleni ka grade 6. Ukhanze ukuthi utawuthi make angisho makwami ngiyabekisa. Athi thatha lamasokisi wawasha ngisiyo umfati wakho ngengikwendele lokho. Ema gender roles lapho afike angena kanjani kule dindzaba letla ukhanza khona ukuthi they can grow into something lesesibangela nadikanati.
Icala lapho lendzaba yeku distributor ema skills, ema resources, nema powers. Icala nje lapho. Now uthi khona lo confined to the house and the household. Against the teacher atrote tinguni, abone bantwana ayine. There's certain skills and certain powers that you're allocating to that girl child. And as a 25-year-old adult, umanifesta noma ukhipha lokho lobampreparishela kona from childhood. Lolonga umfana lomfundisa ukuthi uyakhona khamba ayobloma esitolo acoce nemajita afunze interpersonal skills from a young age, adlala ibhola afunze ukuthi how do you work as a team, how do you take instructions from one person. Life is about teamwork, it's about collaboration. Afunze leadership skills, afunze gain certain qualities and certain powers. Lenda the 25-year-olds angalingani nasanalo 25 years. Because the moment uthi hlobo buthal sokisi la sakhile, you're already saying to these two children, ani fanani. That's why our mothers have 7 children. Solo bazama umfana, because society from birth defines where ukuthi lolo ngetudlwana ngimuphi ngilo wesilisa. So the powers then continue. Now the unfortunate part is the current reality is no longer a level playing to practice Leo socialization. We've had 10 years of girls' empowerment. And it's produced a different breed of women that the men are not ready for. Ngoba solo bafakele lekepis le patriarchy le batshele ukuthi ngine mabhoza. Now they wake up, they realize they do not have the power.
Times have changed. Takeaways from our conversation is that we might really need to declare this thing as a national state of emergency, and that we ought to be angry as society as to how we respond to such cases, and just do better. I want us to speak to Knowledge Ngwenya, who is the Eswatini football Swallows football team pro, about the role that men can play really into, further collaborating and coexisting as society. Kulwana natika lesibhekene nato asibahlola market estabuya naye baba Ngwenya.
Let me tell you about my crush.
Ngenzane inhliziyo yami embi kwakho njengekudala.
Ngondlo yesiswati.
It is 3 in the afternoon. We are back in the living.
For men are so kind towards creation more than they even were to their own creator.
I am the greatest of this generation. They'll be calling me the girl who made poetry look cool, yo. Cool.
Sasiphinze sinamukele ehlelweni sisolo nje sikhulumisa yona indzaba yeku-addressa i-femicide, intimate partner violence ne-gender based violence. Sibona ngathi inombolo dikhula kakhulu. In fact, it has been confirmed through programs director waka Swaka Makehlopsile Dlamini Mabuya sakwamukela nje ehlelweni. Uconfirm athi inombolo ukuthi ikhuphukile. Sitibonile ngesikhathi se-COVID sasaba sathukuthela sathuka kuthi hawo emadvodza solo abulala bomake solo shabo make solo shabo sisibethu kungathi le nombolo solo tiyanyuka and kungathi ke setinyuka ngelizinga la khona sesibhuku nesibulawela nyalo sekuphuma netibhamu sebalimala kakhulu sikubonile nje kule mphela sonto engabe inzima lengadlalwa bobabe nje ngisakuvusela amabuya ekutheni si-address lenkinga lena ngahlekeni nenibukene lihlangothi lwebhola lesilibona une influence kakhulu ku society kakhulu nje la kangwane siyayiboya ibhola ukuthi famous nguyiphi inzima lengadlalwa bobabe ekutheni sesike sime kubeka tandla bomake kubashane kubabulala.
Hey, utsenze indzaba lebhlungu indzaba nathi lesimangaliso lesimbabane Swallows
iyasithinta because phela lokhu lokwehlele labomake labane sikhuluma ngabomake belikhaya sikhuluma ngabosisi bethu sikhuluma ngebantfu lesibheke ukuthi kusasa they will come back and help us i-economy yelive sikhuluma possibly ngama-fans emabane swallows lolo kwenteka konje kusishaqise lugogo nathi simbabane swallows siyakukhalela vele kakhulu lokho lokwentekile siyakukhuta ngemagama laqinile sithi simbabane swallows we request all men out there to respect the women we request all men out there to stop the violence gender-based violence is a very sensitive issue because iphindze itsinze nemuntu emotionally and also mentally iyalimata at all levels whether you are a man or you are a woman kuyafanana iyalimata but ke thina lokukabi ngako uNkulunkulu wasiphe amandla asimathotha vele i-violence yethu i-more aggressive nayendiwa ngumuntu wesifazane i-lesser aggressive because thina sinemandla let alone ke sesebenzisa dilimato just tell me of a screwdriver usiphethele nje uyinfotha screwdriver uphethele nje umukhwa uyinfotha angisakhulumi ngesibhamu it is so shocking lokhu lesikubonile over the weekend sithi nje simbabane swallows iphetheke kabi lenyanga ya October yaphetheka ngedidvumbu yaphetheka ngicitheka kwenkadi enloku buhlungu kwendwa infotha we are calling all men outside there simbabane swallows sithi sicela ngosami sesichange mentality yethu let us treat women with love and care let us protect women noma ngabe kungena sigebengu ekhaya kuye kubheke ukuthi ngibabe lo dawusuku mahlolo esikwendekani let us protect women outside there siyacela nje kakhulu kwisimba balisokuncestela le mindeni lahlekelwe siyati ukuthi kulukhuni ngendlela lokwendeka ngayo simbabane swallows we have brought up initiative ye sports mhla ka 22 April besilapha eSgwaca kulomnyaka siyo launcha i-partnership naSwaga siyo phakamisa i-red card to GBV gender based violence campaign whereby siphumile naSwaga sangena kuma stadiums Mavuso Stadium nasenhlangano batawukhumbula emaswayiswayi sakhulumisa yona indzaba ye-GBV siyithatha very serious to be honest siphumile mhla ka 5 August sa invitewa eSouth Africa Witbank bese seWitbank Stadium sidlala 3 games khona sidlala under i-tournament yaka GBV in South Africa esimbabane swallows ke we are known being champions in issues sabiya nayo inkomishi ye-GBV showing the seriousness esiyithatha ngayo indzaba ye-GBV sibe nenhlanhla ke futhi last week imhla ka 26 October basimema khona futhi base Tshwane University bato sibongela ukuthi sibe part of le initiative yabo ye-GBV campaign we are taking it serious we are looking forward to talk to many men outside there uyati ukuthi ibhola inemadvodza more than ladies in the field of play as well as in the stands so sitayithatha up le campaign si-intensify vele to push kokuthi sikhulume nemadvodza outside there to say aw alehle laka more than anything it's anger issues more than anything angathi sometimes it just saddens us simbabane swallows kubona lokho lokwenteka ku-Even kube kuya ngathi ngabe hulumende wenkwenyama so vele udeclare ukuthi national disaster i-GBV each day you wake up to news kune-GBV livika lipheli kuti i-GBV case outside there and uyabona ukuthi lokho lokwenteka kutawugcina kusicetha sisive sengwenyama kutawugcina nalesive lekumele siyobukela ibhola singasekho lapha egroundini because siyacethana nje sodwa so besingafisa simbabane swallows ukuthi uhulumende akaphakamise i-national disaster kuyo indzaba ye-GBV sitokhona ukuthi siphephe sisive
Mabuya, thank you so much for your time and your insights and sinifisela inhlanhla sinisakho optwa kule movement kule advocacy sifuna nje ukuthi onke emacembe empeleni not just simbabane swallows siyafuna kubona nawe nanawe wena team lencane yasenhlangano lapha kubomakalipani everyone abe involved. Makadlamini bekathinza wona indzaba yokuthi angeke sikhulumise boba bebodwa, kufuna nalomfana lomncane longumfana akhulunyiswe nalo wentombazane, cishe sonke indzaba yethu sonke. Sithemba nje ukuthi lama campaigns lawa asa intensify naye uhulumende weNgonyama utayingenela nangemambala kuloku lokucelwa inhlangano ekuthenini kube i-national state of emergency indzaba ye-gender based violence, nombolo statibona tehla empeleni ngomthandazo wethu sonke. Bongosi, sasifike khona emaphethelweni eluhlelo lwethu lomuhla. Ukhumbula nje ukuthi kusasa lusuku lolukhulu eMaswati achubeka ubukela umsakazo wethu Eswatini TV. Sitabe sinawo ke nemsakazo sisakada